The process of moving on from a significant connection is rarely a linear journey. It is often a silent, internal tug-of-war between the logic of the mind and the persistence of the heart. When a relationship ends or a bond is severed, the ego's primary defense mechanism is to attempt to forget, to erase the memories, habits, and emotional triggers that link us to another person. However, forgetting is not a conscious choice one can simply make through sheer willpower. Often, the more someone tries to forcefully push a person out of their mind, the more space that person occupies in their subconscious. This creates a paradoxical state where an individual may outwardly project an image of total indifference, while inwardly struggling with a persistent, haunting attachment, recognizing the signs of someone who is trying to forget you, but failing to move on requires looking past their surface-level actions. Human behavior is rarely what it seems during a period of emotional transition. For instance, a person might implement a strict policy of no contact, not because they have found peace, but because the mere sound of your voice or sight of your name is enough to dismantle the fragile wall they've built around their feelings. In this context, silence isn't a sign of absence. It is a sign of a very active, ongoing struggle to maintain distance. Similarly, erratic lifestyle changes or an over-exaggerated display of happiness on social media often serve as a mask for the void left behind. They aren't living for themselves. They are performing a version of recovery designed to convince both the world and their own psyche that they are healed. This struggle is rooted in the way the brain processes emotional loss. We are creatures of habit, and significant others become integrated into our daily neurological routines. When that person is gone, the brain continues to fire off old signals, seeking the comfort of the familiar. Someone who is stuck is essentially caught in a loop where they are trying to rewire their brain while the heart is still sending out old data. This results in the ghosting of shared spaces, the keeping of sentimental anchors, and the unintentional slip-ups that reveal their true focus. They are caught in the waiting room of grief, unwilling to go back, yet terrified of the finality that comes with truly moving forward into an unknown future without you. Ultimately, understanding these 15 signs provides a deeper look into the complexities of human attachment and the difficulty of emotional detachment. It highlights the reality that moving on is not about the absence of memory, but the absence of an emotional charge attached to those memories. Until that charge is neutralized, any attempt to forget is merely a temporary diversion. Whether it's through anger, performative joy, or digital surveillance, these behaviors act as a bridge to a past they aren't quite ready to burn. By identifying these patterns, one can gain clarity on the unspoken reality of the situation, that while the physical distance between two people may be vast, the emotional tether remains remarkably, and sometimes painfully, intact. Sudden and unnatural radio silence. When someone is genuinely over a situation, silence is usually effortless and organic. However, a forced, loud silence often indicates a desperate attempt to create emotional distance. This isn't just about not texting. It is a rigid, self-imposed embargo on any form of interaction. They are likely fighting the urge to reach out and believe that total contact severance is the only way to kill their lingering feelings. By treating you like a ghost, they are attempting to trick their own brain into forgetting your existence, though the very effort required to maintain this wall proves you are still on their mind. Maintaining a presence on your social media shadows. They may have unfollowed your main profile, but they are still watching from the periphery. This often manifests as viewing your stories through third-party apps, using burner accounts, or asking mutual friends what you've posted. This behavior suggests a deep internal conflict. They want to move forward, yet they are psychologically tethered to your daily life. They need to know if you are hurting, if you have replaced them, or if you are still the person they remember. This digital surveillance is a clear indicator that while they are physically gone, their mental focus remains firmly locked on your world. The overcorrection of living their best life. If they are suddenly documenting every party, vacation, or spontaneous moment with aggressive frequency, it's often a performance for an audience of one, you. This overcorrection is a defense mechanism designed to project an image of total recovery and happiness. Genuine moving on doesn't require a PR campaign. When someone broadcasts their joy too loudly, they are usually trying to convince themselves and you that they aren't hollowed out by the loss. The energy they spend curating this perfect new reality is energy they aren't. actually using to heal, keeping them stuck in a cycle of performative avoidance, indirect communication through mutual contacts. People who can't move on often use friends as emotional proxies. They might drop your name in casual conversation with mutual acquaintances or ask leading questions designed to bait information about you. This allows them to maintain a connection to you without the vulnerability of direct rejection. They are testing the waters, looking for signs that you still care or checking to see if the door is still slightly ajar. By keeping these lines of communication open via third parties, they ensure they stay relevant in your social circle, making it impossible for them to truly detach and find a fresh start. Relocating or drastically changing their routine. Extreme lifestyle changes, such as moving to a new city, switching jobs, or adopting a radical new look, can be a sign of geographic cure syndrome. They are trying to outrun the memories associated with you by changing the scenery of their life. While these shifts look like progress on the surface, they are often motivated by the fact that their current environment is too saturated with your ghost. If every coffee shop and street corner triggers a memory of you, they feel they must flee to survive. However, because they haven't processed the internal attachment, the emotional weight simply travels with them, keeping small, seemingly insignificant reminders. True detachment involves clearing away the physical debris of a past connection, but someone struggling to move on will often hoard sentimental anchors. These aren't necessarily big items like expensive gifts. They are usually small, mundane objects like an old receipt, a worn-out t-shirt, or a specific playlist. These items serve as a private bridge to the past. By keeping them, the person maintains a tactile connection to the memories they claim they want to forget. These reminders act as a safety net, providing a sense of comfort that prevents them from fully stepping into a future where you no longer exist. Unresolved anger or hostility over minor issues. Indifference is the true opposite of love, not hate. If they still react with intense anger or bitterness over small, lingering details, it's a sign that the emotional charge is still very much alive. Hostility is often a mask for deep-seated hurt. It is much easier to be angry than it is to admit they are grieving. By maintaining a state of conflict, they keep the connection active, even if that connection is negative. This emotional turbulence prevents them from reaching a state of neutrality, proving that the fire of the relationship hasn't been extinguished, only redirected into resentment, the rebound pattern that lacks depth. When someone tries to replace you immediately, it is rarely about finding a new soulmate, and almost always about numbing the pain of your absence. These rebound relationships often move at a breakneck speed, serving as a distraction to fill the silence you left behind. You might notice they choose someone who is either a direct clone of you or your polar opposite. Both are reactions to your influence. Because these connections are built on the need for an emotional bandage, rather than genuine compatibility, they lack substance. They are simply trying to use someone else to drown out your voice. Accidental or slip of the tongue contact, the pocket dial, the wrong person text, or the accidental social media, like are rarely the accidents they are claimed to be. These are subconscious or sometimes very deliberate attempts to break the silence without taking full responsibility for reaching out. It's a way to test your reaction and see if you'll engage. When the brain is preoccupied with someone, it looks for any excuse to bridge the gap. These glitches in their self-imposed distance reveal that they are thinking about you far more often than they admit, and their impulse control is losing the battle against their lingering attachment. Intense curiosity about your current status. A person who has moved on doesn't feel the need to keep tabs on your personal life. If they are constantly digging for information about who you are seeing, how your job is going, or whether you seem happy, they are still emotionally invested in your narrative. This curiosity is often driven by a need for comparison. They want to see if you are struggling as much as they are, or if you've moved on faster. This competitive information seeking keeps them tethered to your timeline, making it impossible for them to focus on their own journey because they are still living vicariously through yours. Drunken or emotional late-night reach-outs. Alcohol often acts as a truth serum, lowering the inhibitions that usually keep a person's longing in check during the day. When someone is trying to forget you, they might be successful while their logic is in control, but a late-night text or call reveals their true state of mind. These weak moments occur because their subconscious is still heavily saturated with your memory. The fact that you are their first thought when their defenses are down proves that the emotional bond is far from severed. They are essentially relapsing into the connection because the pain of absence becomes unbearable in solitude, mirroring your interests or new habits from afar. If you notice they have suddenly taken up a hobby you love or started frequenting your favorite spots, it's a sign of lingering psychological imitation. Mirroring is a way to stay close to you without actually being with you. By adopting pieces of your personality or lifestyle, they create a sense of familiarity that softens the blow of the breakup. It's a subconscious attempt to keep the vibe of the relationship alive within themselves, instead of carving out a new, independent identity. They are building a life that still functions as a tribute to the time they spent with you. Stagnation in their own personal growth. Moving on requires forward momentum, but someone stuck on a past flame often finds themselves in a state of emotional paralysis. They might stop pursuing goals they once had or seem to be circling the drain in their personal life. This stagnation happens because a significant portion of their mental energy is being spent on the internal struggle of trying to forget you. They are essentially living in a waiting room, subconsciously hoping for a reconciliation or waiting for the pain to stop before they truly start living again. Their inability to evolve is a direct result of being tethered to a previous chapter, over-explaining why they are over it. There is a profound difference between being done with someone and constantly announcing that you are done. If they feel the need to explain to everyone, including you, exactly why they don't care anymore, they are likely trying to convince themselves of that very lie. People who are genuinely indifferent don't feel the need to justify their lack of feelings. This verbal overcompensation is a defensive wall built to hide the vulnerability beneath. The more they talk about how much they've moved on, the more they highlight the fact that you are still the central theme of their internal monologue, lingering in shared digital spaces. Even if they aren't talking to you, they might still hang around the digital communities, gaming servers or group chats where you are active. This loitering allows them to feel your presence and observe your interactions without the pressure of direct engagement. It is a way to keep a foot in the door of your life. By remaining in these shared spaces, they avoid the finality of a total exit. This behavior suggests they aren't ready to close the book entirely. They are staying in the room just in case there's a chance to witness your life, or eventually find a way back in.